I read this comic book called They Choose Violence, and it's a AWA Studios. They're a creator's house. It's artists and writers and artisans, I think, is what it is. AWA Studios, and it's written by Sheldon Allen with art from Mauricio Campitella. And it's this fantastic book that unfortunately has been recalled because there was a big printing error in it. And I don't know that the printing error will change the fundamentals of the story. And so I went ahead and decided I would talk about it and do a little review of it, because I don't think it fundamentally changed the story. But I think that the fundamental story, the bottom line story, brings up important questions, and important questions in our time, questions that we answer around here all the time, for sure. But they're questions. It's interesting that they're framed the way they are within the comic book, because they are necessarily exclusionary, and they leave people out, and it's always a problem with any narrative like this that takes on a racial component or a political opponent, because you immediately have left the other people out. Even if they're not racist or they're not the opposite of the political opponent, they don't feel like they're being invited to the party, because the party is being presented for one particular race or one particular political party of interest. And so you don't feel like you're invited to be in the conversation. You don't, do I have to spell this one out? I'm having to spell out everything in the show today, because I don't want anybody to mix things up and be unclear about it. I, as a white man, do not feel like I'm invited to a Black Lives Matter protest. Do you understand that? I'm not wanted there. I'm looked at as whatever the opposite of an Uncle Tom is, I guess, an Uncle Jim. I don't know what the hell the white guy's name is that's the uncle that is a traitor to the, I don't know what, I really don't, but I understand the idea that I'm not welcome there. I don't feel welcome there, even if I am welcome there. And why would I necessarily want to be there when I see when I get there, some of the people that are associated with it? When you talk about these sort of nasty white women that don't have anything to do with their time, and just too much time on their hands, too much money on their hands, whatever, too much privilege on their hands, that they feel like they have to go stand out there and wave a flag for some cause that they're not a part of, and nobody asked them to be a part of necessarily, and people generally find to be annoying and obnoxious and not really representative of what supposedly is to be at the cause. I don't mind the fact that I'm using Black Lives Matters or something a specific name. This is just a general statement about a black movement that white people are not invited to, or if you want a Republican movement that Democrats aren't invited to, or a Democrat movement that Republicans aren't invited to. People feel left out of the party, and so that was kind of what I got out of part of the message. But I have to be clear with you when I'm talking about these comic books. This is a 5-part comic book. This is only the first issue, and I will not fall victim to the people that I call out for doing the same thing, and that's over-analyzing or not even, I don't think you can over-analyze what you have and what you might have in terms of being generous about what it could be, what it may be, and why it might be. But when you're doing it just to find flaws with things, well, what's the point? Why even bother? And so you won't catch me doing that. That's not what I'll do. But I want to talk about the morality, because this story, They Choose Violence, it's sort of a revenge fantasy meets grim reality in a tale of racial violence. And those are words that the creators have used to describe it. It's my words, but it's words that they've used throughout their various descriptions of the title as well. But I want to talk about the morality of the underlying story. The story is simple. It's 3 black women who sit around and watch the news and see within their community see violence against black people. A white cop shoots a black kid. We know the story. We know the narrative. He shot him in the back. The video doesn't claim what the cops have claimed. The black DA doesn't prosecute because they're all buddies. All this thing, and they have these fantasies about revenge against these people, about killing cops, about killing lawyers, things like that. These people who have let these people down. And who have violated these people, who have used their authority to violate people. And I want to talk about the morality in that, because as you know, as an anarchist, I am fully aware of the fact that the state sanctions murder on a daily basis. It's not about race. It's not about politics. It's about the state versus the people. That's all there is to it. And it's authority and authoritarians versus slaves is what it is. The rest of us, if you are not a part of the political class, you're not part of the system that is forcing everyone else to kowtow to it, to bend down to it, to pay homage to it, whatever it is. State actors use political and social opinions, as I tell you all the time, political and social opinions. They call them laws, but they use them as justification, as an excuse to rob, cage, and murder the rest of us. And we have this, that's the setting, that's this base setting, is that's what the authoritarians are doing, that's what they've done, but it's in this one particular community, and so these people are questioning that. They're questioning authority and the abuse of power, and they're feeling powerless, and they imagine revenge, but they ultimately choose, and this is a problem with the political system and the people who would be in politics, is they go into the system. The one character in particular in the story, she goes into the system and becomes a lawyer and becomes a DA and becomes a defendant of people and wants to protect people. And she finds out that she can't. She sees the corruption within the system, and they eventually learn, as anyone else who's honest about the system, and that when you follow that same path to power, that same system, to try to find justice, you find out that the system isn't about justice. That's not what it's about, and that's not how justice is often achieved in most cases. The justice that we are subjected to as subjects of the state is state justice. The state gets its justice before we do. And the only way we tend to get justice is to defend ourselves, to defend our property, to defend our rights on the spot, instead of waiting the 9 to 13 to 20 minutes for the cops to show up. And Black America probably knows this a lot better than white America does, so maybe it's easier to talk to them about it, but you're leaving out most of the people who need to hear this story. And that's why I try to knock down a few barriers and talk about the importance of these things and the importance of the topics and the information that's in there, and try to get people to look beyond what they're speaking about in terms of how they've been violated. But again, not trying to assume that there's anything more to the story. In fact, the creator, Sheldon Allen, the writer, he has this blurb at the back of the book that talks about how don't take any preconceived notions, don't make any assumptions about the story and where it's going, because it's not going where you think it's going. And I don't think that's fair. I think that's something of a cop-out that he shouldn't do. I don't think a creator should do that, especially when you're talking about a work like this that needs to speak for itself. I don't think you need to suggest that the audience doesn't know where it's going, because the audience already doesn't know where it's going. You're giving the audience some sort of material, some sort of reason to question themselves and to question your narrative and what they do believe that they understood through the story. And that's not fair to the creator of the story, and it's definitely not fair to the people who are reading it, because I want to read the story. I want to read the story. If you want to do the thing where you tell me about the impetus behind the story and how important it is to you directly, either tell it through the story or tell it after the story. Don't make me stop and question whether or not I want to read the rest of your story by you suggesting to me that I don't know where it's going. Well, of course I don't know where it's going. It was just a little bit weird for me to see that, and I just felt it needed to be mentioned. I don't know if any other creator will ever hear me say it again, but don't apologize for your work, and don't tell the reader, the viewer, where the story is going outside of the story. Take them to that place and let them get there. But, so that said, you know that I'm the first person to tell you that one of the biggest problems right now is the whole reviewing a thing before it's complete. And so that I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm doing. I'm only reviewing the content of the story itself. I'm not suggesting to you any place that it may go. And that comes, this is the whole thing with the Star Wars and Disney and streaming and shows being canceled by the second episode, basically, because people have had time to talk about it and they haven't seen the whole thing. They haven't heard the whole thing. I'm talking about the morality and the questions within this story, not the story itself. But for one thing, the story is going to be re-released. You can't even get in your comic book shops right now. They pulled it off the shelves. It was a very obvious printing error, and the kind of printing error that somebody goes, oh, darn. Ooh, somebody, yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody gets fired over something like that. It was a big one. But again, I didn't think it necessarily would change the story. There's definitely something missing, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the morality of the characters in any way, and it doesn't matter to them in terms of where they go necessarily, because it's just kind of the rest of the story, maybe just a couple of missing details of why they go and do what they do, and ultimately they decide to go from a revenge fantasy to revenge reality, and they start killing cops, and they start killing judges, and they start killing politicians and what have you. And that's pretty much where it ends off. But the morality question here then becomes, when is it okay to kill an authoritarian? When is it okay to kill a cop? When is it okay to kill a judge? Whatever. And of course, I've answered this question over the years. Many an anarchist has. I don't know that anybody has answered it as simply and easily. I know everybody else takes a 15-minute tirade to answer a simple one-sentence question. It's real simple. When should you kill an authoritarian? The same time you would kill anyone else. The badge, the costume, the title, none of these things should matter. What should matter is, have you been violated? Are you in danger of being violated in such a way that it would be that you can't recover from it, that you would be dead, perhaps? Truly, seriously. It's not available. I'm sorry. It just isn't. They choose violence. It's not available in your comic book shop right now, but it will be. Hit your comic book shop up, your LCS up, to get this title added to your pull list and see where the rest of it goes. See the politics of it, see the racial injustice, see the whole story for itself, and make your own decision about the morality of the characters and what it is that they do and where it takes them in the rest of the story. I did invite Sheldon Allen to come be a guest on the show, so maybe we'll have him on the show sometime. If you can't get a copy of it, if you can't get it on your pull list there, I don't know what's going on at your LCS, but hit me up, amazingfantasies.com, or better yet, stop in the store sometime here in Topeka, Kansas, and take advantage of like the $1 DC back issue sale that has been going on all this week, and we saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of issues, back issues of DC Comics, Batman, Superman, you name it, for $1 a piece, and that included some vintage, some Silver Age stuff. We bought a decent collection of Silver Age not too long ago here, I don't know, maybe a month ago or something like that, and we've been slowly trickling it out into the main bit of comic books on the floor, and so a lot of them are going into the bin over there where the stuff is more expensive, $5, $10, $20, $30, $40, $50 really easy on some of these books. Some of the keys are $100 or more, but there's books with detached covers, but it's still complete. Then maybe the centerfold is detached. I had one that was actually a manufacturer defect. There's no staple in the top. It's just the bottom staple holding the entire book together. And this is 1962 or something like that. I don't think you're not going to get a replacement for it. You're not going to be able to call up the distributor on that one and have them replace it like we can the new ones. It's just something that you could take advantage of if you ever come visit us in the store. And so I want to go back to towardanarchy.com.